Hello, this is John with Theology Ed. We are going to be talking about, well, some of the stuff going on in China, iPad Go 2, and, well, I'm trying to do this video quickly because I don't have time. And we're going to begin just quickly talking about the dog days of summer. They're about to end, and as you know, we've talked about this going back to 2020. The dog days of summer are associated with iPad Go 2 in this symbol. So it's very central to I say dog days of summer, not the dog days of summer per se, but Sirius and Sirius's return to the sky after the dog days of summer, because that's what marks the end of the dog days. Long story short, Sirius is the brightest star in the sky at night, and the ancient world, when Sirius was in the sky, you could see it at night, visible at night. That was 11 months of the year, roughly, from mid-August to about July. In the ancient world, it might have been slightly earlier, I think. I'm not sure. But right around there. And those happen to be hot months. So they theorized that, not hot months, the cooler months. And the hottest month was the month that Sirius was gone. But the reason Sirius wasn't visible in the night sky was Sirius was in the daytime sky with the sun, and the light of Sirius was hidden and obscured. So you had, quote unquote, two suns in the sky, and so it was hotter in July to August. And so that's why they were called the dog days of summer, because the dog star Sirius is up there in the sun, in the sky with the sun heating everything up. All right, that was the theory. And so what you have that turns out obviously to be false, but as far as the explanation of heat. But what you do have, though, is the Egyptian New Year began with the rising of Sirius, when Sirius returned to the night sky in August. I believe it was the Egyptian New Year. And this appears a lot in iPad Code 2, as far as I understand iPad Code 2, including in the symbol, so that, in this space.com article, which looks like they copied and pasted something into a thing and lost line breaks in a few places, which is annoying. But the dog days are actually defined as the period from July 3rd to August 11th through August 11th, when the dog star Sirius rises in conjunction, or nearly so, with the sun. That's the rise of Sirius at night. This period is when they're in a conjunction, like we have here. See the dot on the eye? Brightens up, moves over in a conjunction with the sun. This is a ring of fire eclipse represented here. So that's the sun behind it. And so what you have here is that conjunction of the sun and Sirius dog star and the sun in the dog days of summer, and then you get the subsequent return of this dog star, I believe. And this comes up a lot. That's just not a guess. This is, I think we'd be very confident, the Sirius, the dog star. Remember, You Should Have Left? We've talked about that one a lot. It's the one where we get him going in front of the eclipse. He starts to eclipse the light, and as he's starting to eclipse it, we get to the beginning of the eclipse. Leave, you should go now. And then he finally eclipses it, and you get the alignment right here. This is the eclipse. There's the eye, which represents dog stars, often represented as an eye, looking at him in the position that we have here. Same position. Okay, and he's no longer a reflection. Things go bad when we get that. But now you should have left. It's too late. And then in this other scene, when things start to get a little creepy in the film, this is the beginning of the creepiness. His daughter, is in this spooky house. Okay, and she is casting a shadow here. So we have an alignment where her head is in front of the sun. So that's like an eclipse going this direction. There's your eclipse representation. And up here, she's making a shadow. The director tells her, put your hand up in this position, way up high in this weird position. So you get this alignment again, and make the shadow a dog. And the dog barks. She goes, ruff, 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 or whatever. And then things get scary, because that there is the dog star. That's what that's supposed to be representing. We see it repeatedly. So there it is in iPad Code 2. Here it is what we just saw. There it is on Obama's cheek. Here it is on the floor. There's the circles that represent the annular eclipse. There's the position of the sun, of Sirius, and the dog star. And if you follow it back, it goes back into August. Here you have the same symbol. We'll talk about this scene in a moment in relation to the events in China with Taiwan. Here we have a yin-yang, which has a solar side and a lunar side, and a little bit of sun in so a little bit of sun in the side which is the lunar side, and a little bit of moon in the side that's the sun, so yang yin, I believe, yin yang. And so here you have the a little bit of yang outside. What is that? The little bit of sun is no longer in its position. What's the little sun? Sirius. And what happens during the conjunction? The big sun swallows up Sirius, and there's your big mouth in the sun, what's left of the sun. Okay, and so the mouth is going to swallow up Sirius, or could be spitting it out when the conjunction is coming to end in August at the end of the dog days of summer. But anyways, that's when you get your green light go on the tanks. These are red, 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 red. Here they enter into this annular eclipse through this dog star period, and you have the green light go, which of course this is a representation, or trying to draw people's attention to the Tiananmen Square incident, which is of course China against a protester, Chinese government sending tanks against protesters and so on. Here you have it again, representation of the eclipse. This is representing the dog star. Why is that representing the dog star? This is also a mouth. Okay, and in the religion of Thelema, and also goes back to ancient Egyptian mythology, Nuit is the sky goddess, and she swallows the sun. Here's Ra-Hoor-Khuit, or Horus, the god of vengeance in this context, as Ra-Hoor-Khuit, being swallowed by Nuit to be birthed at the end when he leaves the church. And so, being swallowed by Nuit, the sky goddess, and the sky goddess is covered with stars. If you look at the ancient art and other art of Nuit, Nuit is a nude woman, like on her hands and feet over you, like a gigantic sky. She's the sky, and on her body is covered with stars. Okay, and so here we have a star represented in Nuit in the position related to this eclipsed sun, which is the same here. Okay, so we're looking at a star. We get it in Donnie Darko as well. Here's your black hole, representing the black hole sun, or the eclipse, with the ring of fire around it. In the position of Sirius is the slinky, which also functions in the conversation between Donnie and his teacher as what? The wormhole. Okay, that's the wormhole. Remember, in this conversation, he also talks about what? Back to the Future, because they're talking about time travel. And here's your wormhole, represented by a slinky. They pick it up and they talk about it. In Back to the Future, the wormhole, who's the first to travel in the wormhole? Einstein. There's your Einstein-Rosen bridge for time travel, is talked about. Okay, black holes, right? Wormholes. Okay. What do you get? Einstein is the dog that goes through. So the wormhole is what? The dog star, that related to the dog, and this whole period of time. And somehow, I don't know the specifics, how it's going to be exactly related, but it's the dog days of summer coming to an end that matter here. And it's closely associated with this end of the world stuff. Remember when Donnie exited the house because the rabbit called him out and he moved, this is when he transitioned into the tangent universe. That's when he got the 28 days and so on until the end of the world. And when he wakes up, this is the first time he wakes up after going through this wormhole, and he's on the golf course now. What do we get? We get the eclipse with the dog star position looking right at him. And that was the, move. And you get things like this. Dog days are over. People have mentioned this great song as an example of somehow some association perhaps between the dog days and apocalypse, because run fast for your mother, run fast for your father, run fast for your children, run for your sisters and brothers, leave all your love and your longing behind. You can't carry it with you if you want to survive. The dog days are over. The dog days are done. The horses are coming, so you better run. Okay, so we're getting something like this. Now, we've been talking right now, we're saying that Pelosi is heading to Taiwan, and that could be associated with a beginning of a conflict with China. Very possible. It's something we've been waiting for a while. We've talked about it on the channel quite a bit, going back to 2020 in relation to this passage. Not that that was the primary, it was one of the primary watch spots, because we have here, you get the green light go, and then an attack that grabs the tiger. Now, we've talked about this, and iPad Go 2 is full of layered meanings. Okay, it's I mean, it's a terrible thing in many respects, but it's well crafted. It's creative. And here, what we have is this attack that's the tiger, and we point out that this seems to indicate some sort of event as well between China and a tiger nation or tiger nations. And immediately at this time, when this happened, this eclipse, when the green light go, that was the June 21st, 2020 annular eclipse. That's what started this whole sequence. Um, at that same time, we were able to make a kind of prediction. Okay, I've had videos about before this date saying that it looks like we could have China taking Hong Kong, and that was when you had the Hong Kong, a tiger nation, being taken by China, and the whole one country, two systems, or whatever that policy was called, ended, and Hong Kong is now under complete Chinese control, just like any other region of China. Now, that happened, and so this idea that this is showing some sort of move of China against at least one tiger nation was confirmed. Um, but then we left open the possibility that it could also be looking to Taiwan, because we already knew. I mean, it's not a secret that there's tensions between Taiwan and China claims to have rights to Taiwan, to rule Taiwan. Um, but this whole Chinese move against the tiger nations to consolidate power in these countries has been ongoing for a while now, and the fact that Pelosi is going there at this moment, um, as I'm recording, it looks like, because I just took the screenshot immediately before starting to record, is, uh, well, a possible provocation for this to happen, especially as we're entering August. It's August 2nd. We're close to the end of the dog days of summer. We are also in the period of time that is the year of the tiger, 2022, February 2022, February 1st is when it began. This is when you get the green light go. Also in a different place in IPECO 2 again at the end with the beginning of the dance when the dancer does the aircraft carrier go sign. So we are looking at a very real possibility of the beginning of a conflict with China soon. Okay, I'm not saying it will happen. I don't see anything that makes me feel 100% positive that something will immediately take off. But I think the chances are there, and it's significant, not low chances. Not like most of the time. If you'd asked me 2 years ago when there was a banter, 3 years ago if there's a lot about a possible conflict, these sorts of things usually die down, or they wait 6 months or 2 years or a year. It takes a while. These things take a while. But we know from this scene. I tried to turn off my notifications there, but anyways. But we know from this scene that his hand goes back, and that's the preparation. And then at the December 4th, 2021 eclipse, his hand pauses and starts to go forward. And then the attacks, the actual move into the apocalyptic stuff, takes place in 2022, or beginning in the year of the tiger. And we saw NATO immediately in February provoke a conflict with Russia. Now we're seeing the United States provoking this conflict with China. Not that China's like over there innocently, watching and surprised this is happening. They're probably participants as well in all of this, knowingly. And but now the attack comes starting in 2022, and I think goes all the way into 2024. We'll see things happening and beyond. But what we have, as far as their plan is concerned, so I think now when these sorts of things start to show up in the news, you got a real possibility that something horrible, catastrophic could happen. And so she looks at him when he grabs her. He fires at her. And he fires at the non-nuclear sign, like either choosing it or we've pointed out not choosing it, pointing that he doesn't want nuclear. He's attacking the heart. They are in a rib cage. Okay, but it could also have a dual meaning. It could be representing both. So in one sense, it's an attack on the heart and the rib cage. So there's a biological attack that affects the cardiovascular system. You can, take your guess what that means. And then we have this attack here that fires at the nuclear, meaning that you could be moving into the nuclear conflict. Now, this could be related to Kali in IPECO 2 as well. So So Kali here is uh, dancing. Okay, and look what happens at this scene, this period of time. So we have the dancing of Kali causing these boulders to fall into this reproductive system area because looks like a mouth opening a throat, but it also looks like the fallopian tubes and uh, ovary, right? And so we have these falling in, and as she's causing destruction, what happens? We have these excuse me, we have the fish. I forget, sheephead fish or whatever. The type of fish that is, I think, representing Christians in this context, voluntarily hopping into their own destruction into the boat of Rahor Kuat, or this vengeful Horus, who's burning with wrath at this point to try to destroy them. And then we get a move on the church. Okay, a church. So we have the cross on the top of the phallic symbol with the whore representing the Pope inside. Now, there, right? So here's your whore, but it's a dual representation. It's not just the Catholic Church, or even more generally Christianity, that they're viewing as the whore, led by the Catholic Church, but it's also an attack on the United States. Remember, the whore I've talked about. I have another video on the whore of Babylon representing two things here. She's representing a young whore and an old whore. If you notice, she has a young leg, stocking up high, trying to look attractive here, and an old, scrawny, unattractive leg with the stocking down. We have a firmer, younger looking breast, and then one sagging that looks old. This side is the old side. This side is the young side. And then here we have the semen on the wall. I know it's semen because in IPECO 2, where you look at the theology of Thelema, which is Aleister Crowley's founded religion, basically, and Hadit is a key deity. Hadit is often represented as semen, and here he is a stick figure in a position of raping the whore. So there's Hadit knew it, the beast, and Babylon, one raping the other. But Babylon here, she, as the whore of Babylon, or a whore, has a twofold representation, like we said, of the church, self cross outside. If you look behind her, that is a made of semen, a map of the United States, and when her body's not in front of you, you can see it a little better. But you have a map of the United States. Hadit is dual raping, too. He's raping the United States, and he's raping the whore of Babylon, the church. But the whore of Babylon has a dual aspect, new, old, the new one being the United States, probably, given the states back there, and the theme of IPECO 2, and the old being the old Roman Catholic Church, which has been, the whore of Babylon for a very long time. And okay, so we have possibly an attack on DNA in all of this, so we're watching the effects of that. But in addition to that, I think we could also be seeing war. We could be seeing a number of things, because what we're watching is supposedly their unleashing of and as they understand it, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, of these four horses, right? And so you'll have war, you'll have pestilence, famine, these sorts of things. That's where we're headed after the dog days of summer, I suspect, is what we're going to see. But anyways, so Kali is continuing to dance. Now, why do I bring up this whole thing about Kali in that context? I want to take you to Stranger Things now. See how we make these weird connections? But in season 2, episode 7, 11, Jane, but 11, Elle, goes to, I believe, Chicago, right? The Windy City? Yeah. So she goes to a different city from where she normally lives. She sort of flees. And when she goes to this place, there's these sort of omens that they're dead, they're all dead. And that's what she encounters when she shows up there. We're getting some sort of event associated with death. Now, watch. Excuse me. She goes in and she meets with, well, no, I didn't save the screen right. But anyway, she meets with these guys in a abandoned warehouse or something, who are criminals, and because she thinks she's going to find her quote unquote sister, who she was raised with in a lab, based a research facility, and when she does, they aren't welcoming to her. Her sister didn't see her at first. These people want to get rid of her, and her sister has this power of making people see things like here. These spiders, they're not real. He's scared. She used her mind to control his mind to make these appear to him. Other people may not have seen it, but he did, and he panicked, dropped the knife. He was going to hurt Elle, possibly, and she saved the day. Elle is number 11. She is number 8. And when they meet each other, she says, "I'm your sister," and she says, "What's your name?" She says, "What's your name?" And she pulls up her hand and looks, and there's the 11. Okay, and then she puts her hand next to it, and we're putting 8 and 11 together. The scene is about joining the 8 and the 11. It's taking the power that makes things look real that aren't. Think propaganda, probably. Okay, these narratives that are false, fake, whatevers that they try to put in your mind to give you fear, like the spiders, combining with the real power that can actually make things move. Okay, so when the propaganda leads to the actual end of it, I think is the idea, where we move into action, is with the 8 and the 11 being brought together. So after they see these numbers, they both have the same tattoo from the same research facility. She says, "Sister," and she says, "Sister," right? They finally recognize. And then they embrace. The 8 and the 11 come together. Now we've moved from propaganda to action. We are also moving from fake narratives to the real ones. So quote unquote, be scared. The 8 and the 11 come together, and you say, what year is that? This episode was aired in 2017, but what year would that be when the 8 and the 11 come together and make it happen? Well, immediately after that, it goes to a black screen, and the first thing we get is a full moon. Okay, so we go to a full moon. So we should, I think, probably be looking for an 8 and 11 on a full moon. When does that happen? Okay, so we've got 2 of them this year, right? This is very rare if they don't have, not the 2 of them in the same year, but that you have full moons on August 11th or November 8th, right? It takes roughly 30 years because there's 31 days in the month. And so roughly 30 years you get this. So this isn't every 30 years. It's not something that happens every day. So one possibility is it's August 11th, which is the exact date of the end of the Dog Days of Summer, when perhaps Kali finally moves into action. Get it? You see how that works? Okay, because that girl's name, her sister's name, is Kali, and I deleted that slide. Oh well, I thought it was a duplicate. I guess I just deleted it. But anyways, her name is Kali in the show. So Kali meets 11L. The 2 come together, and we get that destruction. I think starting on a full moon. So it could be the end of the Dog Days of Summer, or just 8 and 11 goes the other way. There's a full moon as the lunar eclipse on November 8th of 2022 as well. I believe the scene is probably pointing to 2022 for this reason, that we go from the 8-11 to the full moon immediately, telling us that this embrace, this union of August 11th or November 8th is the union that brings this darkness and the change. It brings Kali's work or destruction into action. Because Kali, remember, her power up here is to create illusions, to deceive and make people think there's something there that's not, and to make them afraid. That's what's happening up to 8-11. When 8-11 happens, whether that's November 8th or August 11th, with the full moon, so probably 2022. We don't know for sure, but that's what it looks like. When that happens, the union of them brings about the action that actually moves things. Got the idea? Because Elle, she's got real power. She opened literally a wormhole, right? She opens these holes into other dimensions and stuff by her own power. That's the power of opening the hole in Stranger Things. So when this is just like Donnie Darko, Back to the Future, these other things with the Dog Days End, and is associated with the wormhole. Well, here Kali's going to join to the wormhole lady, the lady who can open Elle, the girl. Okay, but remember, 11 shows up first in the scene, and then the 8. So I think if I were to pick one of those 2 as the primary date, I would probably, I don't know. I'm not going to pick one, but I suspect They could both be important, but I think November 8th has other evidence in other places. So if I go here, this scene is a screenshot from Turning Red, the animation that was just released this year as well. Um, and remember, in that's about this girl becomes a panda under the flower blood moon. That was May 15th, 2022. That was the flower moon. That was also lunar eclipse that she had, under these kids pushing up daisies under the blood moon, right? The flowers, right? Dying, kids would be dying. So the idea here is we have the panda starting under the blood red moon, and then the panda being confirmed and unable to change status as a panda when under the next blood red moon in the series, and under that one you have two pandas fighting because now you get two pandas at the same time, not just one panda. You get two, one big one small one. And notice what is she doing to scare off the panda? She's mooning it. There's your red moon again. Okay, the second moon, and that was under the second moon. So the thing that's causing fear here is the next red moon. Repeated, this theme comes up. Now with that next moon, the next blood red moon would be the November 8th lunar eclipse. That happens on election day. And we've talked about it in other places as well. It's in the Nope trailer. Nope came out 7/22/2022, so just a couple weeks ago, basically. I still haven't been able to watch it. Wish I could. Can't find it. But anyways, so Nope was in there, and I've got a whole analysis video on that in BitChute. I hope you watch that. That trailer was pulled from YouTube, unfortunately, but that's okay. Things happen. But Nope in Candyman as well is when the lady goes into the back room, the door shuts, she goes, checks the room, she says, nope, she turns around and she can't get out anymore. She's trapped. That's when you can't get out, just like you should have left with now you can't, it's too late, or Get Out, US, they got the Candyman film, nope, nope when, nope. But when do they say nope in the trailer? They look up and the alien spaceship or whatever that thing is, right? This threat in the sky is eclipsing the moon and moving off, and they're saying, no, 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 no. Okay, that's the nope. That's the eclipse after the release date is the nope, I think. So that would be November 8th. That also happens to be in November, right, which is in Scorpio. And if you remember at the end of IPEC Go 2, where is Scorpio? Right? Where those pyramids when they're hit by the shot of the sun? They're in a big scorpion in the clouds. So the shot that's taken hits in Scorpio and takes down the whole system of the pyramids. Okay, that's where the big transition that's where the end happens. So that those pyramids are falling for about 2 years after that in that scene, because those rings coming out from the sun represent the 5 solar eclipses we've talked about so many times on the channel, and you can look into that. But that shot happens after in Scorpio, or hits in Scorpio after the end, or after the fourth eclipse, which was December 4th, 2021. So that shot hits in Scorpio. That would be November-ish. To October, November, I think, is when Scorpio's end of October, November of 2022. Could be 2023, but 2022, I believe, is what goes there. And those pyramids continue to collapse until the final ring, which is April 2024. So that is how that seems to work out. And so, again, that puts us right in November of 2022 as the big attack. We're getting a lot of this. But remember, these things don't usually just happen in a day. So the dog days of summer ending here on this 8/11 date, which happens to be also the full moon this year, could be when Kali meets with activity, meets with action. Propaganda is turned into action finally. In an aggressive way. And it may just be a period of a few months when things just keep getting worse, and each of these horses start to run because the dog days are done, the horses are coming, so you better run, right? So that's where I think we might be. Let me know, what you think in the comments. like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Take care. Blessings.